Ladies and gentlemen, Tackle and Fuel, welcome back. My name is Jesse Skelton, and I am here with a shave and a haircut and a Hawaiian shirt to teach you about depth of field in After Effects. Now, depth of field is a really cool technique you've probably seen before, where everything at a focal point is in focus, and then everything outside of that focal point becomes blurred out. Now you can see what I've done here is I've set up three characters in 3D space. The one is in the back, the two is in the middle, where the focal point is, and the three is up in the foreground. Let me just show you a top view of what's going on here. So our camera's shooting forward here, and here's the 2, here's the 1, and here's the 3. I've set them up in 3D space. They don't have to be in any particular distance. It just really depends on how you're designing your layout. So, just go back into my normal camera here. So basically the way this works is your focus distance is the point at which where things are going to be in focus, and by lowering or raising the aperture you increase the sensitivity to that area. So when I've got it at 1000, there's a lot of this or everything on the outside here. This is going to be a better way for me to show it, is opening this comp here that I had prepped. Basically this is the way it's working. You've got, you know, out in the foreground here you've got blur, in the background here you've got blur, but in the middle it's crisp and in focus. And when you increase the aperture, essentially what's happening is that area that's in focus gets tighter and tighter. So you can see once we've started to pump the aperture up, only this little small area is staying in focus, and then everything else is going out of focus. So that's why there's aperture and then there's blur level, because you can actually, you know, turn up the amount of blur that's happening here if you wanted to. But that's essentially how the aperture works. Is it makes the area here really the focus, the blur just encroaches really hard on the focal point, and alternately turning it down will sort of feather this back a bit. I'm using Element 3D here. It's a great plugin if you get a chance to pick it up. But certainly takes up a little bit of processor power. Okay, so that's essentially how depth of field works in After Effects. It's not really that difficult. Why don't I just run through starting a new comp, and I'll just show you exactly how I would go about making one of these things. So durations doesn't really matter. So we're just going to throw on a quick background, and I'll do the ramp here for you guys. Why not? Why not? We'll just do the whole thing, right? So what I'm doing here is just stretching out our gradient a bit, because we're going to rotate this. And to do that, we just hit W, grab an edge, hold down Shift while you're pulling, and it'll make your rotation square. Okay, nice and simple. So we're going to throw in some, what are we going to do? I guess we can do some text. Okay, we're going to blow this up a bit here. Okay, so we got an A, and we'll have a B or a C or a D or a Z. Let's make it Z. Okay, so let's make both these layers 3D. We will take the A and just push it back a bit in 3D space. We'll take actually the Z, we'll just bring it up a little bit, but it can pretty much not too far. And we're going to take a camera, drop the camera in. Default's fine. Yeah, that may mess around with our letters here a bit, so we'll just fix this. Move this over here. Move this back a bit. And here's where the magic happens. We open up camera options. Depth of field is going to be on by default. And now we've got to sort of figure out where things are happening here. So let's just turn up the aperture to see where the blur is happening. It looks like we can actually just lower this by a little bit because it doesn't look like the Z is getting blurred out too much, so it's probably pretty close to the the focus distance right now. So let's say 600, see what happens. So maybe up this to about 250, the aperture to 250, just so we can really see when we're in focus here. 500 maybe on the focus distance. Nope, we gotta go up. 650. There we go. That's starting to come into so that's essentially how you do it. You sort of, clumsily feel your way around in the dark until you get it, and then you can actually start doing some pretty cool stuff. Okay, so that's pretty much it.